Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to make some pierogies. I had some leftover mashed potatoes from Christmas. We made way too much. I got overzealous with that. So I figured what better way to use up some mashed potatoes before they go bad is to make up some pierogies. And then you can throw them in the freezer and then you can have them at a later time. So what we need for pierogies is we have to kind of make like a pasta dough, but it's a little bit different than regular pasta. So we need to have flour and salt, a cup of water, 3 large eggs, and half a cup of butter. So what I'm going to do is put all of that in my food processor here and blend it all up, and then it's got to rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then here on my KitchenAid, the light from my other room is kind of glaring. Here's my KitchenAid. I have this attachment that is a pasta roller and a cutter. So this is the part that does like a spaghetti noodle, and this is the roller. And then here you can do like fettuccine noodles. And in here, there's like some numbers. You may not be able to see them. They're really hard to see. And you want to start at the smallest setting. And you can see how big, or the smallest number, which makes this the biggest. And then as you go through your rolling, you can go and make it pretty thin. So I'm going to use that, and this is the box that it comes in. And I bought myself this for Mother's Day last year, and it was a wonderful present to myself. So this is wonderful. But if you don't have one of these, just use a rolling pin and it works fine. And so we're going to roll out the pasta and then stuff it with the mashed potatoes, which these are all ready to go. And this has directions to make the filling if you don't already have it made. But I add all that stuff into my mashed potatoes anyways. Then it has directions how to cook them up with some butter and some onions. So my son loves these, so he was really excited when I said I was going to make them today. All right, so let's get started on the dough in the food processor. All right, so first we need to have the flour, and this calls for 5 cups of flour. All right, I'm glad I had enough in there. And it says to do about a teaspoon of salt. And usually I just use my hand, the salt shaker, because I don't want to get my other thing of salt out. But I can kind of gauge by my hand, that's about a teaspoon. All right, and then it says to combine those two things together just to make sure, your dry ingredients are together there. So we'll just pulse it. All right, and now we'll do, it says add water. And you want your butter to be softened. Mine's not quite softened, so I'm going to have to melt it just a little bit in my microwave. All right. Then I like to crack my eggs one at a time. These are fresh eggs. So I always like to give it just a little sniff test just to make sure. Because sometimes they can go bad. And you'll never know it until you crack it. And then you ruin 5 cups of flour. So I learned that the hard way a couple of years ago when we started getting eggs. Even just a little sniff, you can tell if that thing's bad or not from pretty far away. Okay, wow, I think my food processor may not be big enough. I hope this doesn't explode all over the place. Maybe let's give this a little mix, and then I'll add in the butter. And then I'll add in the butter. All right, so I'm gonna go melt the butter real quick. All right, so like I said before, you really just want this to be softened butter if you can. Most of it softened, just a little bit of it melted there. Give me a little rubber spatula because I did not get that all the way in there. This is really full. I think the last time I made these one other time, and the last time I made them, I don't think I had my food processor yet, and I did this all by hand, just kneading it like regular pasta. I can see that some of the butter got stuck on the top of my thing right there. drop something every time I cook, don't I? I hope it didn't break. No, it doesn't look like it did. Okay. Wow, this is a really soft dough. All right, let's try that again now that I got the butter off of that top thing. It's a little bit stickier than regular pasta dough anyways. And kind of just knead this just a little bit until it's not sticky anymore. Get a little bench flour. Now I've made regular pasta a lot. I very rarely buy pasta anymore. We don't eat much pasta anyways. I'm slightly intolerant to wheat, I think. But a little bit doesn't bother me if I eat just like maybe 3 pierogies or like 3 little raviolis or something. But if I eat more than that, it really bothers me. But the rest of my family really enjoys having some pasta. But I'm not very, like, you can't do like the little ditanelli, you know, pieces, you know, or, you know, I've done bow ties, but it's hard to get the ones that curl around that have like a center opening. I think this is good. I don't want this too dry, and I'll use that bench flour for when I roll it out to fill it. All right, so I'm just going to wrap this up in some saran wrap just to keep the moisture in, and that was not a big enough piece. And we'll just let this sit for about 30 minutes and let the gluten kind of relax so we can work it. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so the dough has been resting for a little over 30 minutes. I have my apron on this time so I won't get flour all over my body. So what they recommend is to split this into 4 sections. All right, so we're gonna divide this into 4 sections, and then we're gonna work with 1 section at a time. So now what we're going to do is roll this out. It's pretty sticky, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more flour here before I put it into my rollers there. You kind of want to get it into a decent size shape that you would want it to be to go into your roller. Okay, so I make sure I have this locked here, and I'm moving this to number 0, so it's the biggest one. Now I have my little bench flour here, and I don't have a biscuit cutter or anything, so I'm just going to use this cup. It's about the perfect size. So you just dip it in your flour, and then just start cutting out your shapes. Then I'm going to save these scraps just to cook up for regular pasta. Because it's, once you have them all rolled out and with the flour and stuff on them, they get a little tough if you try to re-roll them. I tried that last time and it didn't turn out well at all. So I'm not going to try to re-roll them this time. I'm just going to save these scraps and put them in the freezer. And we'll just use it for regular pasta. Alright guys, I did quite a few of these already, so I was just going to show you a little closer up how I do the folding. So I just make sure my left hand has some flour on it when I have this in my hand. And then just scoop the little bit of mashed potatoes that you want in there. Then use one finger to gently, just a little bit of water right around the edges like this. Try not to get this other hand wet. And then you don't want to touch it with this finger because it's wet and it will just like make it a gunky mess. So you kind of want to flip it over like this, switch hands, and then use your left floured dried hand to crimp these closed, and then you can press the potato mixture flat, and then that makes a perfect pierogi shape there. That took me quite a few times to get it right, but the more you do it, the more you do, the easier it will get. All right, well, here's the finished product. This is definitely a labor of love. It takes a while, it makes a mess, but you know, in the end, it's really worth it because this makes probably 4 to 5 meals of pierogies for my entire family, all 4 of us, probably a dinner and a lunch. Plus I got all these extras of the scraps, and we could just throw those in whatever we want with just a little bit of pasta Or, you know what this is most amazing for is those days where you're tired, you come home from work or school, and you're tempted to order some pizza or maybe get some takeout. Guess what? You have these in your freezer ready to go. This is great to just grab out of the freezer and cook up real quick. It's a no-brainer. Boil it for just a few minutes because this is fresh pasta. And then just, you know, fry it up in a skillet with some butter. Or if you don't like butter, you could do coconut oil or olive oil, or just some spray if you want to keep it low fat. So this is, well, I guess there's so much butter in the dough. This is not low fat. This is a treat. This, oh junk, I have nothing out for dinner moment. Okay, so I would love it if you guys would like this video and share it with all your friends. Leave me a comment. I would love to have some conversations with you guys about everything that I've done so far. And if you have any new ideas of things that you'd like to see from me, just let me know. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe.